Hey, hey, Cub fans! Welcome to Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs with utter delight and unwavering optimism. And we're going to do that today. We're going to be delighted to talk to you guys a little bit about one of my favorite Cubs of all time, Billy Buckner. And Bill is a little bit of a tragic story, and I think he's underrated for sure. Certainly an underrated Cub, but I think an underrated career. And because of circumstances at the end of his career, I think maybe the younger baseball fans don't really know how good Bill Buckner was, and probably have even a negative thought of Bill Buckner and what happened to him and how that played out. So he's one of my favorite all-time Cubs, and I wanted to do a piece on him to shed some positive light on him in his career, because it was really a phenomenal career. Billy Buckner was a great player, and he was in his prime when he was with the Cubs. So my formative years, from 15 to 23, Billy Buckner was my guy. So I want to talk a little bit about his career, just to give you kind of a broad view of what kind of a player Bill Buckner was. He was drafted second round to the Dodgers, left fielder, right out of high school, and he made his major league debut in 1969 as a 19-year-old. Buck played, in fact, he was the first player ever to play in 4 decades. He played in the 60s, made his debut in 69, and his last game was in the 1990 season. So he played in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. First player ever to do that. And so a 22-year career from 69 to 1990, and just a phenomenal player. 22 years. Well, 22 years. I mean, start naming people who played 22 years, and you're going to start naming Hall of Famers. You don't stay in the big leagues for 22 years if you can't play. And Bill Buckner can play, and it seems like nobody knows about it. And I wanted to shed some light on it. So in his career, he has a career batting average of 289, career on base percentage of 321, and career OPS of 729. What's even kind of more impressive is he had 2,715 hits. So he's under 300 hits shy of hitting 3,000 hits. He scored 1,077 runs, hit 174 home runs, 1,208 RBI during that period of time. But the thing that I always liked about him, and I didn't realize his numbers were this significant, but he didn't strike out. Bill Buckner only struck out 453 times in his whole career. He walked 450. So if you extrapolate those two out to the 162 games schedule, he averaged 29 walks and 29 strikeouts per year. He's got a 1-to-1 career strikeout ratio. Billy Buck put the bat in the ball. You can count on him for doing that. Early in his career, Billy had a little bit of speed. He was drafted as a left fielder, and he was a really good left fielder. And not speedy, but I would say that he was probably average speed. He stole 31 bases in 71, had 28 in 76. So he was capable of stealing some bases before the injury. So he played his first handful of years with the Dodgers, and then the Cubs traded for him prior to the 1977 season. So Billy Buck's career as a Cub started in 1977, and Bill had an extremely severe ankle injury. And when the Cubs acquired him, he was coming off a staph infection on that, and it was pretty clear that Bill Buckner wasn't going to be able to play left field. So early in his career, and this is his first year with the Cubs, he was 27 years old. So Buck was 26 years old, and it was pretty clear that his outfield days were over. He was hobbled. Buck struggled with that. 3/4 of his career, he was hurt, which to me makes it all more amazing. Bill Buckner played the vast majority of his 22-year career hurt and hobbled and limited, if you can believe it. And the numbers he put up were sort of staggering because of it. let's talk about what he did with the Cubs specifically. 8 years with the Cubs. Cubs traded him 21 games into the 1984 season, same season that we lost to the Padres in the National League Championship Series. And I don't know, I could be wrong, but I just feel like had we kept Billy Buckner, we win that series. I think we missed him. I mean, we were great that season, obviously, but I think Bill Buckner brought things that we sure could have used against the Padres. And I remember at the time thinking, boy, it'd be nice to have Billy Buck up in this situation. Be nice to have Bill Buckner playing first base. And I think maybe that cost us. So we'll talk about Billy's offensive stats, but most people do. That's where you go with Bill Buckner. 2,715 hits. Clearly, he was a star offensively, but most people don't know how good he was defensively. Bill Buckner was slick, dude. He could play first base, and he hobbled, right? But he just seemed to get there. In fact, Bill Buckner set the record for assists by a first baseman in 82, and then broke it again in 83. 159 and 161. So back-to-back years, Bill Buckner broke the league record for assists by first baseman. Ponder that for a quick second. Guy could play some first base. Later on in his career, in 85, he played 162 games and broke his record at 184. So this wasn't a flash in the pan, Bill Buckner first base. Bill was smooth. So phenomenal hitter. Clutch hitter, and a silky smooth first baseman, but he didn't look like it because he looked clunky. He hobbled. Dude was hurt. But in 1977, he comes to the Cubs, and he's in his prime. He's 27 years old. During his tenure with the Cubs, he was in his prime, 27 to 33. He played in 974 games for us. Played in the era where we just weren't really that good. Buck didn't have a lot of help, and it's unfortunate that the Cubs traded him just right before we got good. He didn't, he carried us through what he could in the late 70s, and it's too bad that he wasn't able to be a part of that 84 team. I regret seeing that happen. During his 8 years, he had 1,136 hits for the Cubs, hit 81 home runs, had his numbers with the Cubs are better than his career numbers. He had a 332 on base percentage, 771 OPS, so he slugged a little more. And in his entire tenure with the Cubs, he hit right at 300 even average. More impressive, during that period of time, in his 8 years with the Cubs, he only struck out 159 times. Yeah, 159. He walked 187, so his strikeout to walk ratio was under 1-to-1. In 1980, he wins the batting title with the Cubs. He hit 324, and in 1980 year, he struck out 18 times. I mean, can you get your head around that? 18 times. There's players last year struck out 18 times the first week. 18 times all season. Dude put the bat on the ball. It's awesome. He was an all-star one time, and I think he's underrated. People don't talk about Billy Buckner, and when they do, it's kind of negative now, for the reason that we'll talk about here shortly. But I mean, Bill Buckner, it didn't make sense. In 1978, he finished 17th in the MVP voting. In 1980, he finished 14th, and in 81 and 82, he finished 10th each time in the MVP voting. Dude was getting MVP votes, but he wasn't getting all-star nods. I don't know. He didn't look the part. I don't know what the situation was, but underrated, underappreciated. Not by me. I was a big fan. Billy Buck was my favorite Cub for that whole stint. Loved him. If you haven't seen him, every time I think about it, I refer to him as Billy Buckner had Hall of Fame mustache and eyebrows. If you want to check a picture of Billy Buck, I'll put one in the description, you can see it. Billy Buck. It's fantastic. So, here's what happened to Billy Buck. Phenomenal career, 22 years, almost 3,000 hits, didn't strike out, slick fielding first baseman, just wrong place, wrong time. Just, had a couple things that didn't pan out. So in 1986, he's with the Red Sox. Had a phenomenal year, Buck did in 1986. Let me walk you through it. 36 years old, so he's a click past his prime. Hobbled. I mean, his ankles, they're not good. Well, he played the vast majority of his career hurt, hobbled. So in 1986, at 36 years old, he was hobbled, but he just produced. He had 168 hits that year for the Red Sox, had 18 home runs, 102 RBIs in 629 at-bats, played in 153 games, hobbled, had a phenomenal year. Big reason that the Red Sox made it to the playoffs and to the World Series. So if you don't know the story, it's Game 6. Red Sox need one more out to win the World Series. First World Series, and sort of like the Cubs situation, the curse of the Bambino. Red Sox fans were all just out of their minds. And with 2 outs in that 10th inning, Mookie Wilson, Mets center fielder, hits a slow roller to Buck's left. Looking back on it, I wish Billy would have backhanded it. If he'd have backhanded it, it'd have been much easier. But this slow roll, he had time, so he was making his way over to get in front of the ball. And as he was trying to get himself positioned in front of the ball, his ankles popped up and slapped him right in the face. His ankles deserted him. He got off balance. He got out of kilter. And as he got out of kilter, the glove moved, and the ball went to his right through his legs into right field. And sort of the rest is history. So you can take Bill Buckner's 22-year career with everything that he accomplished, all of the numbers that he produced, and you boil it down to that 5-second period of time, and that 5 seconds has overshadowed what to me is a stellar career, and I just think it's shameful. I think it's very disheartening as a Buckner fan to watch what happened to him after that. It was a struggle for him, and so I think here we are now. Buck has been gone a few years. He died in 2019, and had this disease called the Lewy body dementia, and it just got him. But late in his life, he was in Boise, Idaho, and doing some real estate ventures, and had a car lot with his name on it. He did coach a little bit in the minors, but you could tell watching Billy like I did, especially in the 70s with the Cubs and the way he was, and then seeing him late in life having to deal with what happened to him in Game 6, the 86 series, it was awful. But I wanted to shed some light on Billy's career. Phenomenal player. I mean, close to a 300 hitter, close to 3,000 hits, didn't strike out, led the league in doubles one year. Just incredible consistency offensively, and his underrated glove at first base. I mean, I remember ball was hit to Billy, he was gonna get it, and if you could turn to the 3-6-3 way, he was gonna do it. Just a great player, and he is been overshadowed by one instance in 1986, and I want everybody to know. So that is Billy Buckner, Cub player from 77 to the first 21 games of 84, and we appreciate what he did for us. We'll be back with another one soon. Thanks for joining us here on Cubs 24/7, and we'll see you all. Go Cubs, go.